Hey, welcome to Bookmas Day 6. My name is Jessie, welcome to my channel if you are new here. Today I'm doing an unhaul. I have more than 40 books that I'm going to be showing you guys that I'm going to get rid of. I also have many more that I've already unhauled from months ago that you will see in tomorrow's video, but this is it for now. I just went through my shelves. First I have Hush by Dylan Farrow. This is a young adult fantasy. I remember liking it. I was very interested in it, but this is a series and it's just not a series that I want to continue. So I don't want to have the book on my shelf just because there's not really a point for me anymore. Then I have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I didn't really like this book. It wasn't for me. I know a lot of people absolutely adore this book, so I hope that I can give this to somebody who will love this book, but I just didn't connect with it in the way that I thought I would. Then I have Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I read this earlier this year and I didn't really like it. I know a lot of people love this trilogy as well, and it's said to read this trilogy before you get into the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I did read Once Upon a Broken Heart though, and I really enjoyed that one. It was almost a 5-star read for me, and I'll be continuing that trilogy, but I just didn't enjoy this one. I think I had expectations that the plot just did not go where I was expecting it to go. Once again, if I'm not continuing a series, I just don't feel the need to have it on my bookshelves. And then I have books that I've had for so long. I have the original cover of A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I think this is a UK paperback cover of Mist and Fury. I have the, well, you can't see them right now, they're behind this stack, but I have the super colorful covers. I would keep these if ACOTAR was one of my favorite series of all time, but I just thought it was an okay series. I still liked it, but it's not one of my favorites, so I don't feel the need for these books anymore. I know someone would love to have these, so I'll be getting rid of them. Next up I have a duet. This is Wicked Like a Wildfire and Fierce Like a Firestorm by Lana Popovic. These two are more of a witchy type of fantasy. I think it's more of a, not magical realism, but it's not too much of a fantasy. I really like the concept of this. There's two sisters and they have to deal with a lot with their family. I think they lose their mother and then there's this curse that they unleash. So they have a lot on their plate. It seems very interesting, very entertaining, but I just didn't like the execution of the plot. I think the first one I thought was an okay read, but the second one I just didn't really see a point in the book. Won't be reading them again, won't be recommending them. I'll be saying goodbye. Next I have Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. I read this a couple months ago. This was in me reading my Goodreads highest and lowest rated books. This was the lowest rated book. I ended up giving it a 3-star, so I did like it. I was entertained, but the world building in this was not good at all to me. There were things in this book that just rubbed me the wrong way. There's these people who can take over other people's bodies, but it wasn't explained in the way that I needed it to be. And I did say in that video, when it comes to the second book being released, which I think it was released in August or September, I was going to decide if I wanted to continue this series. The book came out. I have no intention to pick it up, so I will be getting rid of this one. I'm kind of sad to see this one go. This is A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. This is my first edition book, hardcover, in great condition. I have the newer paperbacks of this trilogy, and this is the only one I have of this edition. I was gonna pick up the other two that match this, but I never did because I think you can only get them from the UK. I just picked up the paperbacks. They were on sale. Read those, like this trilogy, but I don't feel the need to have another edition. And while I love this, I love the look, I love the feel of this, I just don't need it anymore. Now, I have 2 more books that are a part of a series. This is Crave and Crush by Tracy Wolff. I read these both recently. I actually just finished this if you watch my November wrap-up. I was very entertained by Crave. It is a cringy young adult novel. There's nothing too spectacular in it, but it's just entertaining and I was having a good time. But then I got to book 2, which is Crush. It was so dragged out. These books are very long and I think they're a little overwritten. The writing's just not for me, and I know that if these books go this way and they're this dragged out, I'm not going to be able to finish the series. It's going to be really rough for me to get through, and there's 6 books and I don't even want to go on to the 3rd one. So I think this series is definitely for someone if you're looking for a lot of time spent with characters, but I just couldn't do it anymore. Next I have Clean by Amy Reed. This is a young adult novel. I read this years ago. I have no idea what it was about. Don't remember anything. So I don't need it anymore. Another young adult novel. This is A Short History of the Girl Next Door by Jared Reck. I remember this being about young kids in high school. They live next door to each other. It's very sad from what I recall. It was an okay read, just not something that I'll ever think about again. I have The Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy by Jenny Han. They're so colorful, they're so fun and pretty. Kind of hated them. I didn't give a single book in the trilogy more than 2 stars. These characters are in high school. I felt like they were in elementary school by the way they were acting, the way that it was written, their dialogue. I can't get behind this. I do not care for the story at all. So I have to get rid of them. Next up I have Better Together by Christine Riccio? Christine is a booktuber that I've watched for so long, probably 10 years ago or whenever she was making videos. There was another era of booktube back then that I used to watch, and she was one of those booktubers. And she's written, I think, 3 books now. I have another one by her. It's called Again But Better. I really love that book, so I wanted to pick up another book by her, and this was her second one. I did not like the writing in this at all. This was really hard for me to get through. It's about 2 sisters. It's kind of a parent trap moment, but couldn't do it. Could not do it. Then we have We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. This is a deluxe edition. It has a signature in it, which I did not know for the longest time that this was signed, but I didn't like this book. It's been a very long time since I've read this. I just remember hating the plot twist for some reason. I don't know why. Moving on to this stack over yonder, I have It Happened One Summer and Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. These books were okay reads for me. I wasn't gonna get rid of these, but I just don't feel the need to have them anymore just because they were okay reads. Didn't love them, didn't hate them, but I just feel like there's other books in the future that I'm gonna be reading that I want to take up space. I'm gonna have to replace them with these, so I might as well just get rid of them now. Then I have The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. I read this a few years ago or a couple years ago and it was alright. I thought the characters were a little immature for being adults, or the romance just seemed a little cringy to me. This is a fun fall read, and I know that this has other books that came out, or a companion novel or something. Once a book comes out and I'm not gonna read it, I just don't want the first book anymore, as you can tell. So I have to be getting rid of this and I just won't ever think about it again. Now I have Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. This is the book 1 in the Lakefront Billionaire series. Book 2 is out now and I don't want to continue the series, so don't want to repeat myself 800 times. You know what's gonna happen. I just didn't really like this. I think I gave this one a 2.5. I was expecting more, and the length of this was just too long for not getting what I was looking for. Also, I need to just be a hater for a second. This spine, I think it's the ugliest thing I've ever seen. I'm so sorry, but I don't even want this on my shelves. I don't get it. I don't know why I hate it so much, but I don't want to look at it. This will have to go in a little free library though, because I highlighted it and underlined parts of it. I have quite a lot of tabs in here. I don't know if you can see them. So obviously I like some lines in here. I just don't like the romance. I have Every Summer After and Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. I just won't be reading any other books by this author, and I think I gave these ones both a 2-star or something. They are very pretty and I would love to have them as displays on my shelves because of how beautiful they are. I wish I did like them because of how much I like the look of them, but just can't. Next I have Neon Gods by Katie Robert. I remember liking this book. I think I gave it a 4 stars or something. I simply don't want this book anymore, and that's literally it. I do have Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. Once again, this was an okay read to me, but I started reading Daisy Hates. I wanted to throw my head into a wall. I hated it so much. I got like 20 pages in and the footnotes were bothering me to an extent that I just couldn't even look at the book anymore. I was being very dramatic about it, and I'm still very dramatic about it, but I won't continue the series at all. There are a lot of quotes in here that I really liked. I have a lot of tabs. That's why I kind of have mid feelings about it, but I know I'm not going to continue. I know that I'm not going to like this series. I have The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. I read this one a while ago. It's just another one of those concepts where I think it was an okay read, but I don't have any memory of it, and I don't feel the need to have it. This is Tell the Wolves I'm Home by Carol Rifka Brunt. I picked this one up many years ago when I was in a Chicago bookstore. I was just browsing around looking for some books that I thought sounded interesting, and this takes place back in time in 1987. It's about a 14-year-old, but she has this Uncle Finn and he's gay, so he's going through those hard times back then when everybody was homophobic and they don't accept people for who they are. I think this book is great and I think people should read this, but I wasn't the biggest fan of the writing or how the story was executed, but I still have an appreciation for what this novel was. I have Wanderlust by Elle Costavelos. This is an adult fantasy. I think the concept of this was so cool. It's one of those mirror concepts where someone has a mirror in their room and then they go into a whole nother fantasy world. And I remember a main character being in an abusive relationship and she finds this escape in this fantasy world and she's being accused of doing something terrible to her husband. So there's a lot going on, but I once again just didn't like the execution of this plot line and I think it could have been done a lot better. Don't hate me for this one, but this is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I know there's so much hype around the series. So many people recommend this series, or I don't know if this is a trilogy and then there's another companion trilogy. But when I read this, just wasn't feeling it. Another okay read for me, but I have no intention to continue this series or get into this world anymore. Saying goodbye to this, which I'm sad. I wish I liked this series, but sometimes you just don't like series that other people are hyping up. And that's okay. I'm just gonna rapid fire these. These are many of my Colleen Hoover books. I definitely was someone who had to read every book by her, or every possible book that I could. So we have Ugly Love, Without Merit. I remember actually hating this one. Regretting You, All Your Perfects. Once again, I think I absolutely hated this one. If this is the book where there's a trope that everybody hates, I don't know how people like this book. There's something in here that happens with the guy that I don't know how he could have been forgiven. I could be completely wrong, but I swear that happened in this book. Next I have November 9 or November 9th. This was my first book that I read by her. And then I have Maybe Someday and Maybe Now. This is a duology or a trilogy. Didn't like this one either because there's a trope in here that I absolutely hate. Okay, lastly, if you're gonna hate me for anything, you're probably gonna hate me for this. I have to. Guys, I have to get rid of them. I want to like this series so bad, but I got to book 5 and couldn't do it. I remember loving the first 2 books. I think I gave both of them 5 stars. I never read Assassin's Blade because when I read these books, that wasn't a thing, I think. I don't know. But after the second book, they just went downhill for me and I couldn't get through book 5. It was a struggle. Maybe if I reread them again someday, I will like them, but I just don't want to pick them up anytime soon. I'm so sorry. I know this is a loved series by so many people, but it's just not for me. As much as I want to enjoy it, sometimes you just can't enjoy the books that other people are enjoying. And that's the beauty of reading. And that's my unhaul. I think I had about 42 or 43 books. And honestly, looking at my shelves now, after I took all the books off, it didn't really seem like any were missing, which is crazy that I got rid of so many of these, and it doesn't really feel any different. But I'm excited to have more room on my shelves to add in books that I truly adore. As always, I hate seeing books go because I love books. No matter if I hated them or not, I just love the art of a book. It's a cycle of finding books you love, finding books that you hate, reading them, getting your experience with them, getting rid of them or keeping them. I just love the whole process of being a reader. Now that I got rid of so many books, I do have 2 tote bags full of books and more books in another room that I'm trying to get rid of. I have many more books than this, probably double this amount, that I need off my hands. So in tomorrow's video, I'm doing a little free library hunting thing. I will show you guys all the books that I already have in totes that I've unhauled before, and I'll be taking those and putting them in libraries. So that'll be tomorrow's video. I will see you guys there. I hope you have a great day or a great night wherever you are, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!